Hello and welcome back, everyone. So in this episode we're going to make this piece right here, and it's going to overlap all of this geometry, so I'm just going to move this out of the way. SZ0 to flatten that out, and I'm going to pull all of these vertices down like that. And I'll just keep this one here because we want it to kind of go up into the piece right there, and we want to be able to see it back here too. So that's it for that. I also do want to clean up this geometry. It looks like it's inset a little bit right there, and then I think this part also needs to come out more. So I'm going to, and actually I do have a second reference image. So if we look at this one, it comes out a little further right here. I guess that's before this part. So we're gonna add that, and then round this out a little bit more and inset these two gaps right there. Alright, so Control R to add an edge loop, and I'm just going to pull this in ever so slightly, and I'll do the same thing here. And then Control R. And then I'm going to hit Control R and scroll up once so I can get both of those. And pull this out. I'm also going to scale it out on the y-axis. And I'm just going to deselect this part up here. SY. And then pull that forward. And the roundedness of this part got a little messed up, so I'm going to Alt right click. And actually I don't want all that, I just want from here to here. So I can Control right click to grab that, and then double tap G and bring this up like so. That looks much better. Alright, so now we can move on to this piece here. So I'm going to hit Shift A and add a plane, R, Y, 90, scale it down, and then P and separate selection. Then right click on that new object and tab into edit mode and move it down. And I'm going to start with the larger of these shapes. We could start with the part that's closer to the camera here, but I think it makes more sense to start at the back. So that's what we're going to do. Bring this in, Control R to create an edge loop. And it's getting a little hard to see, so I'm going to tab back into object mode, select the weapon and hide it. And then Control R, create a ring loop, SZ0, drag that down. Alright, and we want this to be directly in the center of the object, so we can just push it in like that. And since we have clipping enabled, it'll snap together. Then I'm going to extrude it out, disable clipping, and that got messed up. So enable clipping, snap it together, disable clipping, and extrude. And you can tell from this second reference image, it comes out pretty flat, and then curves in a little bit and then drops off. So I think that looks like about the right distance to come out horizontally. So why don't we extrude this again? 3Z, and now just line these up. I want to get the points closest to the camera. And I'm going to bring them down. Alright, so that takes care of the general shape of that piece. Now there are these cutouts here, and I'm trying to decide if I want to use the bevel tool or if I want to create these manually. And I'm already not very happy with the topology here, so I think that I will actually try to create these manually. So I'm going to create 2 edge loops and just kind of position them right at the corners of these. Like about there. And then I'm going to add 2 circles. So Shift A, add a circle, R, Y, 90. Scale it down and position it over here. And actually I can just Control L, Shift D, and reposition this. And then right click F, right click F, Control L, Shift D, Shift D. Alright, so now we can go ahead and delete these faces here. And actually I will create one more edge loop there. Delete these faces. And this face. Control L. And now I'm going to bring these forward. And if I go into front view, I can line it up directly on top of the face itself, like so. And now we're just going to try to patch these in. So I'm going to hit Control R and create an edge loop here. And there's not really a perfect way to connect this, so I'm just going to kind of wing it. Basically what I'm doing is control right clicking to get chains of vertices. Alright, so if we were more careful about that, we could have patched it in a way that would still allow us to create edge loops around them. But it doesn't have to be perfect. So now I'm going to grab these rings and extrude them back. Create a face there. And I know we could have done this with the Boolean modifier, but sometimes it's good to get practice doing it manually, because you do have a lot more control this way. Alright, now I'm going to go into front view and grab all of these vertices and just align them with S, X, 0. And since we're using a mirror modifier, it gets mirrored across, obviously. Now we do want to destroy the internal faces, just to clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to make sure I deselect everything by hitting the A key, and then I'm just going to paint select over these. X, delete faces, reactivate the mirror modifier, and then Alt H to unhide everything. Now we can clean this up a little bit further. So there is kind of a gap here in the reference image. That piece right there. So I'm going to hit Control R, create a ring loop here, and then Alt right click, and then just pull this down. And then I'm going to bevel this edge here. And that should come down to about there, actually. And the top of this needs to be rounded, so what I can do here is actually just grab these edges and pull them down. And bevel this edge. And then I'm going to grab all these faces down here and smooth them. Smooth faces. Alright, so I think I'll cut this video off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something in this video, and I'll see you next time.